Mary Church Terrell was born in 1863 in Memphis, Tennessee. Although this area was still under Confederate control, Terrell was born into a family in which both of her parents were successful business owners, in which her father was an entrepreneur and landowner, while her mother operated a successful hair salon. And although prominent within Memphis's black community, Terrell's parents were also former slaves. Though Terrell was not born into slavery, the academic institutions in the South were disabling Terrell from opportunity. Due to the segregation, along with the common viewpoint among numerous white Americans who believe that black people are intellectually and biologically inferior to white people. She obtained her bachelor's and master's degrees from Oberlin College located in Oberlin, Ohio. She was one of the few black women in the United States to receive a bachelor's degree, and better yet, her master's. She had many ideas to improve the social, economic, and political conditions of African Americans. However, particularly engrossed with women's rights, Terrell involved herself in black and white women's clubs such as the National American Women's Suffrage Association. A little while later, Mary Church Terrell became the first national president of the National Association of Colored Women's Clubs, also known as NACWC, initiated in 1896 after the National Colored Women's League and National Federation of Afro-American joined forces. As well as an advocate of black civil rights, Terrell was also a charter member of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, also known as the NAACP. She was the first black woman appointed to the District of Columbia Board of Education, as well as the first black member of the Washington chapter of the American Association of University Women. Terrell was an upper-class black woman who involved herself in racial uplift activities that combined social work and civil rights. Mary Church Terrell was an advocate of civil rights and women's suffrage. She wanted to integrate herself into the community and work with the poor, specifically the poverty-stricken women and children. Terrell wanted to uplift the lower African American class into the middle class so that white Americans would have no objections to integrate African Americans into the mainstream society. Mary Church Terrell was an effective orator and gave various speeches throughout Europe and the U.S. about these topics, developing speeches such as The Progress of Colored Women and Justice of Women's Suffrage. A Colored Woman in a White World, an autobiography of Terrell's life, involves all of the innovative leadership roles and changes that she has pursued within the African American community. Terrell is known to be involved and associated with the African American freedom struggles and civil rights movements because Terrell co-founded and joined organizations that were formed during the beginning decades of the civil rights and black nationalist movement. Terrell was helping to move in the direction of activism among the African American society. Though Terrell did not have boycotts and protests such as during the civil rights and black nationalist movements, Terrell had, to a degree, a similar effect. Although most scholars now agree that in the second half of the 19th century, African Americans were discussing aspects of civil rights, integration, separation, and black nationalism, they still debate whether their efforts constituted a social movement. Given that all social movements start as ad hoc committees, one wonders if such debates miss the point largely because these ad hoc committees mushroomed into permanent social justice organizations in the first 20 years of the 20th century. Although this was prior to the 20th century, these organizations made radical changes due to Terrell's and others' involvement in education and women's clubs.